Indianapolis Colts, 8-9 last year. A lot's going on. The team is, to say the least. The team has lost, sadly, obviously,
Yeah.
its owner in Jim Irsay. Um, One of Jim's daughters is taking principal control, but there are three daughters who are all assuming some degree of responsibility within the organization. Um, you have to factor that into some of your optimistic win totals. Anthony Richardson has a shoulder injury right now. It seems like Daniel Jones is going to be the starter early on this season, or at least for the foreseeable future.
I didn't realize he's Anthony Richardson Sr. now, by the way. So I guess congratulations are in order. I just see him listed as Anthony Richardson Sr. I don't know why that jumped out at me, but
Did he have a kid? And then
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. Like I didn't know, but like it says senior on the roster now. So
can you just call yourself senior without having a junior?
I guess you could. Like it's like it would be like having like MD after your name or something, or
Well, to have MD, you would have to become a medical doctor. But
right.
like senior doesn't seem to have any sort of a
PhD.
qualification to it, you know?
Right. Right.
Um, I mean, I guess you would have to have had a kid.
Yeah.
One would think, but um, I mean, what Steve Smith went Steve Smith Senior. Does he have a son named Steve Smith? Sure, he
I think
does.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Good for him. Um, I, this is this whole thing is fascinating, right? Because now the team and the staff that Jim put together, and I think it was good that the Shane Steichen search was so robust.
Yep.
And I think that his daughters were able to start to be a part of that and to start
Yep.
to kind of get a taste of what they should want or what they think they might want. So, and it's not like they don't have their feet wet in this thing.
No, they've been involved. I mean, like
Yeah,
that's I don't think that's gonna be a huge problem. I
no,
I would say though, Connor, like I think the one thing that's just reality, right? Is that when there is any sort of material ownership change, it does put pressure on people in the building because people don't know exactly how the new owner might see them. Now, because the daughters have been there, I do think it's like because Carly, and Carly's going to be the controlling owner because Carly's been there and been involved. Like it's probably a little less so, but I do think it does put like a little bit of pressure on people in the building, that like, hey, like she could decide at the end of the year that she wants to hit the reset button here, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. And she may have it in her head because Jim's obviously the one that was pulling the strings until now, that like she didn't like the way that we were running things the last 2 years. And you don't know. You know what I mean? Are you playing from behind? Are you playing like sometimes that stuff can be unclear and it can put pressure on people in the building.
it's interesting too because you were a staff that necessitated the deadly statement at the end of the year. That's just like a couple teams did it. The Giants did it this year with a press conference. The Dolphins did it, and I think the Colts, where it was just like a statement that the owner put out. That's just like, "Hey, I'm not firing these guys," which is always kind of weird. It's like, "Oh,
It's
you
day
were
of
thinking about it?"
execution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to know. Like, wouldn't it be weird if the executive editor of Sports Illustrated just tweeted like, "Hey, I'm not firing Connor and Albert from the podcast." And you're just like, "Okay.
All right.
Have you been hearing
Thanks.
some stuff about that?" Or,
Thanks. Appreciate it.
yeah, it sounds like sounds like you've had to make up your mind, which is a little scary. Um, so I think there's an element of that, certainly, but I and I think this will get me in less trouble now with mainstream football report people, I don't know,
Yep.
whatever, and I guess I'm part of the problem too, I'm one of them, but I think that their ceiling is higher without Anthony Richardson this year.
I
Like,
think you might be right. I mean, I think it's gotten so tangled up and so complicated. And to be clear, like, just because I don't want to be murky on this one, it looks like they got it wrong, right? Like, I don't know how you could look at it right now and say,
you took
like,
a
oh,
swing
yeah,
at outlier talent, which is fine.
he's an outlier talent. He had 13 starts in college. He was injury prone in college, which, like, so for those of you that want to say like, oh, well, like that's bad injury. Like, well, he did have injuries in college too. You know what I mean? Like, and that was
Right.
part of the package that he had gotten hurt a lot, not only in college, but in high school. And so there was that part of it too. And it's just, I, I have a, like, so he's going to go see Neil Trash this week. Um, I think anytime a guy has a quarterback has surgery to his throwing shoulder, and then a couple years later it comes back like that usually doesn't end well. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so I don't know how you could look at this and not think that Daniel Jones is the heavy favorite to win the job. And I think you're going to get a motivated Daniel Jones. And I think one thing that I do feel good about is that with Brian Daboll, how Brian Daboll got the best out of Daniel Jones was basically playing him like he was Josh Allen. Now, a lot of people don't look at him that way, but he played him that first year. They used him as
Yeah.
a runner.
Yep.
They used him. They did things to kind of maximize his athleticism and limit the amount of mistakes he was going to make from the pocket, and it worked.
Yep.
Can that work over a 5-year period? Maybe not. But I do think Shane Steichen has in his bag, working with the different types of quarterbacks that he's worked with. Of course, Jalen Hurts being the best example, what Brian Daboll had in his bag to try to get the most out of Daniel Jones. So
He has
that's
it in his
decent
bag,
starting. Huh?
but the reason that Brian Daboll stopped is because he had to. I mean, there was like neck injuries and like,
Yeah, he was getting beat
and
up. Yeah.
yeah, he was getting the crap beaten out of him. And I think that is always the issue where it's like you can play Daniel Jones like Josh Allen, but Daniel Jones, it's just his
Josh Allen is rare, like rare when it comes to durability.
yeah, and it's just a
Yeah.
weird thing. Like he's built like I don't know. He's built like an old SUV from the 90s that's still around, like a Ford Explorer, like an
And
old
the
Ford
Susie
Explorer.
Trooper.
Yeah, yeah. He's just and it's not like I hate when people equate it to toughness. They're like, "Oh, Josh Allen's just tough." Josh Allen is probably tough, but I would assume that Josh Allen and Daniel Jones have the same concept of toughness in their mind. But like, I can run into a freight train and you can run into a freight train and everybody can run into a freight train and different things are going to happen to us. It's
Right.
just
It's
like how
not
we're
that
built.
Daniel Jones is fragile. It's that like Josh Allen is otherworldly durable.
Yeah,
Right.
there's just some sort of a Teflon coating on him that has yet to expire, and every year we go into
Because
it saying, "Well, what's gonna happen when he actually gets banged up and you have to limit his running?" It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
like, if you wanna know why option football took so long to get to the NFL when, like, Tommy Frazier in Nebraska were doing it in the '90s and the wishbone, like, the Texas wishbone was unbelievable in the '70s, like, that's why. Because there aren't very many guys on the planet who can run the option from the quarterback position and hold up in the NFL. But I would say, like, I would say Jones probably does give him a better chance. Um than Richardson does at this point. I I just they're in a weird spot from a roster standpoint in general, don't you think?
I did until so this is why I do this every year, and I did it last year too, and it pisses me off because I ended up wrong, and I hate being wrong. But I don't think this roster is bad. In fact,
I don't think it's bad, but
my optimistic take on this is that this team can, might, and almost kind of should win the division if Daniel Jones is halfway decent. Is that insane? Like, just from the purely so you look at it where you have a really good left tackle. You have possibly the best or second best guard in the NFL.
yeah.
So you have a side of the ball that you can be dominant on. You have two excellent interior players on defense in Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner.
Yep.
You have talent in your secondary. I mean, you have Kenny Moore. You have Nick
Right. And I
Cross.
like Travarius Ward and Ken Bynum coming in as free agents. You did spend there. So
I
you're
mean,
slowly talking yourself into it.
I'm talking myself into it. And again, no
So
offense to
you're
Gus Bradley, who was good. And the Colts obviously
no, but
wanted to
Lou
keep him for a
Anarumo is
reason.
gonna be able should be able to get more out of him.
And Gus does what Gus does, right? Gus
Right.
plays a certain kind of defense, and it's good when he comes
He's
to a
like
new
the
place.
plays like the original Seattle 3.
Right. And when he comes to a new place, it's good because it looks different. But then over time, you need to diversify. Lou's going to throw some wrenches in here, and I think that we might end up getting the best out of this defense that we've gotten in a little while. And that's the only problem, Albert, because look at this.
Or
The last
Jermaine Pratt might be there by the end of the week. You've got Zaire Franklin. You've got Leatu Latu, who maybe you can get some more out of him. Like
the
yeah,
last 2 seasons, and this isn't totally nuts.
yeah.
The last 2 seasons, they've scored the most points in the division. The last 2. With
So
Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew and who else played quarterback last year? Was it just those 2? Anthony Richardson, Gardner
I
Minshew,
think that
Joe
was it.
Flacco the year before, right? Or it was Joe Flacco last year. I'm sorry, it was Gardner Minshew the year before.
It was Gardner Minshew the year before. It was Joe Flacco last year. Then it was Sam Ellinger the year before that with Matt Ryan at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
come on, like this. The
So
Texans are
so
are good, but this team
yeah.
could
So
be
like,
as
but
good.
here's what I'm thinking though. Like, is like they've got this sort of roster where like I do think that there's like there are things to like here. I like Tyler Warren's going to be interesting. I think their
Yeah.
receiver group they've got. I feel like their receiver group they've got 3 number twos, right?
Okay.
Because I think Josh Downs is like not very many people are paying attention to it. Like I think Downs is like a really good slot, and then I think Pierce and Pittman are pretty good players, right? Like so, I think you got like 3 number twos there. Maybe Tyler Warren can be the focal point of the offense. So I look at all of these things, Connor, and I'm like, they've got a good base of talent. My question is it a good enough roster to carry average quarterback play into the playoffs?
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially in the AFC. And so, if we're talking about realistic goals, I think we have to take the job security of Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard into account. And I think they have to be in the playoff hunt till the end. Not saying they have to make the playoffs, but they have to be in the playoff hunt till the end.
I okay.
Because this is not a rebuilding team. This is not one of those like, oh yeah, the arrow has to be pointing up at the end of the year. No, like I mean, here's what I would say. Maybe this is the best way to put it. Be an attractive destination for a quarterback in 2026. Now, maybe Daniel Jones is your guy long term. Who knows? But come out like compete till the end and be an attractive destination for a quarterback next year.
I think that
Does that make sense?
yes. I like personally. I mean, I've been sold on Steichen. You guys, everyone can read what I've written about him over the years. Like
Yeah, no,
be
I think I love Shane. I think Shane's a really good
be
coach.
good enough that he gets to stay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. I don't know, man. Like, I think top
I
to
mean,
bottom.
the front
top-
end of their schedule is pretty manageable too. Miami at home, Denver at home, at Tennessee, at the Rams is tough. Raiders at home, Cardinals at home. Uh, You know, it's now again like there are pockets in it, but I think that they should be able to like you should be talking about like if you're them, like I think you should say, okay, like we should be competing, we should be in the hunt graphic in December, you know?
Okay, here's a fun exercise. I think this is the best top to bottom set of skill position players that Daniel Jones has ever worked with, especially when you factor in and then factor in the offensive line, and it's not even close. I think this is the best infrastructure that Daniel Jones has had around them. So, fun, quick exercise. Daniel Jones's best season with the Giants was the 2022 year that they made the playoffs.
Yep.
Name me. Can you get 2 of his top 3 targeted wide receivers? The number 1 targeted player was Saquon Barkley. He
Sterling
led the team
Shepard.
in targets. What's that?
Sterling Shepard.
No.
Darius Slayton.
Slayton was 1. If you get the second one, I will ship you a Dunkin' Donuts gift card.
All right, hold on. Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. Now you got me. Jesus.
Like, I mean, you.
Who am I missing here?
I mean, he's not on the Giants. I don't know if he's in. Is
The
he in
NFL?
football right now? Uh, he is. It does not appear like he's in football right now.
Oh, wow.
Super Bowl champion, but
Super Bowl champion.
Middle Tennessee State grad.
Oh. Oh, 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 oh. Shoot. I don't know. Who is it?
Richie James.
No, I wouldn't have gotten that.
I would have never so that's what I'm saying. Okay. So you had Saquon Barkley, Richie James, and Darius Slayton.
Was Shepard hurt?
I believe so that year. And
Yeah.
now you have Alec Pierce, you have Downs, you have Pittman, you have Warren, you have Raymond, you have Quentin Nelson, and you have Jonathan Taylor.
Mhm.
Like, I don't think this is close. Do you? I don't know.
I don't know. You're convincing me. So I'm supposed to expect a breakout year from Daniel Jones because he's never had this level of talent around him. He does have good coaching.
He's out in New York. He's in New York, I think, had its own emotional complications there, right?
Yeah.
Some mental, mental hurdles, mental roadblocks. That's why I think the optimistic and realistic is like 9 wins is my basement. And I'm not saying this team's going to win 12 or 13 games, but like they've outscored the Texans over the last 2 years. Now you've gotten probably the best free agent defensive coordinator. Like, go get this thing, guys. Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
Why are we babying the Colts? Let's go. Come on. It's time. You're
All right.
time to leave the nest.
With my be a attractive destination for a quarterback next year. So
Get in the GD playoffs. That's what
all
I'm
right.
saying.